Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked out at the massive alien space station. The station was bigger than any city on Earth. It had millions of lights blinking across its surface like stars. Jake had never seen anything so huge floating in space. "We're really doing this," said Commander Lisa Carter as she walked up beside him. She carried a small case with all the papers about Earth and humanity. These papers would decide if humans could join the galaxy or not. Jake nodded. "After traveling for 6 months to get here, we better make it count." The USS Harmony was Earth's best ship, but it looked tiny next to the alien station. The station belonged to something called the Galactic Council. 12 different alien species ran the galaxy together. At least, that's what they told everyone. "Captain Morrison, we are getting a signal from the station," said Lieutenant Ben Hayes from his station. "They want us to dock at Port 7. Take us in, Ben," Jake said. He tried to sound calm, but his heart was beating fast. This was the biggest moment in human history. The docking bay was enormous. Ships from many different worlds sat in rows. Some ships looked like metal insects, others were round like balls. A few looked like they were made of crystal. The human ship looked very plain next to all of them. As Jake and Lisa walked off their ship, aliens of all shapes and sizes stared at them. Some aliens had scales, like lizards. Others had too many eyes or arms. A few looked like giant bugs, walking on 2 legs. "Welcome to Council Station," said a tall alien with gray skin and 4 arms. "I am Coordinator Zach 5. Please follow me." They walked through long hallways filled with aliens. Jake heard dozens of different languages being spoken. Some aliens made clicking sounds. Others hummed or buzzed. The smell was strange too, like metal and flowers mixed together. The council chamber was a huge, round room with seats going up in circles. Hundreds of aliens sat in the seats, all looking down at the center, where Jake and Lisa now stood. The room was so big that Jake's voice echoed when he spoke. "People of the Galactic Council," Lisa began, reading from her papers. "We are here to speak for all humans on Earth. We come in peace and friendship." Some of the aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. Others just stared with their various eyes. A large alien that looked like a lizard stood up. His scales were dark green and his eyes were yellow. "I am Scalelord Thrix of the Zephyrian Empire. Tell us, little humans, what do you offer the galaxy?" Lisa opened her case and pulled out more papers. "We offer our knowledge, our skills, and our friendship. Humans are good at solving problems. We work hard and we learn fast." "And what of your military?" asked another alien. This one looked like a giant insect with wings. "All species must contribute to galactic defense." Jake stepped forward. "Humans have a long history of warfare. We've fought many battles on our world. We have stories of great warriors who never gave up, even when facing impossible odds." The insect alien, who called himself Commander Vexka, started making clicking sounds. Other aliens joined in. Jake realized they were laughing. "You speak of battles with simple guns and bombs." Vexka clicked. "Your biggest wars killed only millions. How small." Scalelord Thrix showed his sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. "These humans tell stories of gods of war and brave last stands. They speak of warriors who never surrender. How cute." More aliens started laughing. The sound filled the huge chamber. Jake felt his face getting hot with anger, but he kept quiet. "Let me understand," said a floating alien that looked like a jellyfish. "You fight with metal bullets and explosive devices. Your ships move by burning fuel. Our technology might seem simple to you," Lisa said, trying to stay calm. "But humans are creative. We adapt. We overcome challenges." This made the aliens laugh even harder. Some were making sounds like barking. Others were whistling or humming in what sounded like amusement. "Overcome challenges," repeated Vexka, "with your primitive weapons and slow ships. Tell me, humans, What is your greatest military victory? Jake thought about all the battles in human history. Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans held off thousands of enemies. D-Day, where soldiers stormed beaches, knowing many would die. Iwo Jima, where Marines fought for every inch of ground. At Thermopylae, Jake said, 300 of our warriors held off an army of thousands. They all died, but they saved their people. The chamber exploded with laughter. Aliens were holding their sides, or whatever they used for sides. Some were wiping tears from their eyes. 300 against thousands. Scale Lord Thrix roared with laughter. And they all died. This is your great victory. You don't understand, Jake said, his voice getting louder. They knew they would die. They chose to fight anyway. That's what humans do. We don't give up. Oh, how noble, said a snake-like alien with a voice like silk. You choose to die rather than be smart. How very primitive. Vexka stood up on his insect legs. Let me tell you about real war, little human. Real war is fought with weapons that destroy entire star systems. Real war involves billions of deaths, across hundreds of worlds. Your little planet battles are like children playing with toys. The council chamber slowly got quiet. Scale Lord Thrix looked at his fellow aliens, then back at Jake and Lisa. Here is what we offer you, humans, Thrix said. You may join our galaxy as a protected species. You will mine resources on worlds we give you. You will build things we need. In return, we will protect you from the real dangers of space. That sounds like slavery, Lisa said. It sounds like survival, Vexka replied. You are not ready for real galactic civilization. Perhaps in a few thousand years, when you grow up. Jake clenched his fists. We didn't travel across space to become your workers. We came here as equals. This started another round of laughter. Some aliens were laughing so hard they were shaking. Equals. Scale Lord Thrix wiped his eyes. You can't even leave your own star system without our help. Your weapons are toys. Your ships are slow. Your warriors die in hundreds, not billions. We offer you one mining colony, said the jellyfish alien, on a moon with good minerals. You will be safe there. You will have food and shelter. All we ask is that you work hard and cause no trouble. Lisa looked at Jake. They both knew this wasn't what Earth had sent them to achieve. But they also knew they had no choice right now. We need time to think about your offer, Jake said. Of course, Thrix said, still smiling his tooth-filled smile. Take all the time you need. But remember, little humans, this is the best offer you will ever get. We are being very kind to you. As Jake and Lisa walked back to their ship, they could still hear alien laughter echoing through the station halls. Jake's hands were shaking with anger. They think we're jokes, he said quietly. Let them think that, Lisa replied. For now, neither of them knew that this was exactly what humanity had been hoping for. The aliens had just made their biggest mistake. They had laughed at human myths and legends. Soon, they would learn that human stories were not myths at all. They were warnings. 3 months had passed since the meeting at Council Station. Jake Morrison now lived on a small moon called Mining Base 7. The moon was gray and dusty, with no air to breathe outside. All the humans had to wear special suits when they went outside to work. The alien overseers treated the humans like children. They gave them simple jobs like digging holes and carrying rocks. The aliens thought humans were too stupid for important work. Another day in paradise, said Dr. Amy Foster, as she put on her mining suit. Amy was supposed to be a simple worker, but she was really one of Earth's best scientists. She had been studying the aliens for months without them knowing. Any luck with the computer systems? Asked Colonel Ben Hayes. Ben was pretending to be a mining foreman, but he was really a military officer. He had been watching alien ship movements and recording everything. I'm getting closer, Amy said. Their security is good, but not perfect. I should be able to access their main database soon. The aliens had given humans basic computers to help with mining work. They didn't know that Amy had been slowly breaking into their network. She was very careful not to get caught. That morning, Amy made her biggest discovery yet. She found a way into the alien historical records. What she saw there made her blood run cold. The Galactic Council wasn't peaceful at all. They were conquerors. For thousands of years, they had been finding new species and either enslaving them or destroying them completely. The records showed hundreds of dead civilizations. "Ben, you need to see this," Amy whispered as she showed him the computer screen. They were in a storage room where the aliens couldn't hear them. Ben looked at the alien writing on the screen. Amy had learned to read it during her weeks of hacking. "What am I looking at?" "It's a list of extinct species," Amy said. "The council calls it the cleansing archives. Every species that showed promise was eliminated. The ones that seemed harmless were kept as slaves." Ben's face went pale. "How many?" "Over 3,000 species in the last 10,000 years, Amy said. "Ben, they're not peaceful. They're the most successful killers in galactic history." That night, Ben noticed something strange in the sky. New alien ships were arriving every day. Big ships, warships. They were gathering in the space above the moon. Why would they need so many ships here? Ben asked Amy the next day. Amy had been thinking about the same thing. "I think I know. Let me check something." She went back to the alien computers and searched for recent military orders. What she found made her hands shake. "It's called the Cleansing Protocol," she told Ben. "They're planning to wipe out humanity completely. Every human, everywhere." Ben stared at her. "When soon, maybe weeks. The ships are almost in position." Amy had found the full plan. The aliens had been lying from the beginning. They never intended to let humans live, even as slaves. They had decided humans were too dangerous to keep alive. "But why?" Ben asked. "We're just miners. We do what they tell us." "Because they're afraid," Amy said. "I found their evaluation reports. They think humans are unpredictable. They're worried we might cause problems later." The truth was even worse than that. The aliens had been studying human history and culture. They had read about human wars and human stubbornness. They had decided that humans could never be truly controlled. "We have to warn Earth," Ben said. "I'm already working on it," Amy replied. "But it has to be secret. If they catch us, they'll start the attack early." Amy spent the next week building a secret communication system. She used parts from mining equipment and hid everything inside a water recycling unit. The aliens never checked those because they thought humans were too simple to build anything complex. Meanwhile, Ben was making his own preparations. He had been secretly mapping the alien base and counting weapons. He also had a list of every human on the moon and their real jobs. Most of the miners were actually soldiers, scientists, or engineers. On a Tuesday morning, Amy's communication system finally worked. She sent a coded message to Earth. "The neighbors are not friendly. They're planning a house cleaning. Need immediate pest control." The message traveled across space in a way the aliens couldn't detect. On Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan received it in her office at Space Command Headquarters. Kate had been waiting for this message. She had suspected the aliens were lying from the beginning. That's why she had sent her best people to the mining base, disguised as simple workers. "Get me the president," Kate told her assistant, "and activate Operation Valkyrie." Operation Valkyrie was humanity's secret plan. While the aliens thought humans were primitive, Earth had been building a real space fleet. The mining colony had been a sacrifice to buy time and gather information. Back on the moon, Amy made another discovery. She found communication records between alien commanders. They were discussing humanity like humans might discuss rats in a house. "The humans breed too fast," one message said. "If we let them live, they'll spread across the galaxy like a disease." "Their warrior culture is concerning," said another. "They glorify death in battle. Such a species cannot be controlled. Better to eliminate them now while they're weak, said a third message. Once they develop real technology, they might become a threat. Amy realized the horrible truth. The aliens weren't just evil, they were smart. They had studied human history and seen what humans could become. They were trying to kill humanity before humans could become dangerous. They're not just planning to kill us, Amy told Ben. They're planning to erase us. No records, no memory, no trace that humans ever existed. Ben looked grim. How long do we have? 2 weeks, maybe 3. The final attack ships are still arriving. That night, Amy sent another message to Earth. House cleaning starts in 2 weeks. All family members will be invited to the party. On Earth, Admiral Sullivan was already in action. Secret shipyards that had been hidden throughout the solar system were coming online. Earth's real military was preparing to show the galaxy what human warfare actually looked like. The aliens had made their biggest mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare by pretending to be peaceful. Now humans knew the truth, and they were angry. Jake Morrison is still at Council Station, Sullivan told her staff. Send him the activation codes. It's time to drop the act. Back at Council Station, Jake had been playing the role of a confused human diplomat for 3 months. He attended meetings where aliens discussed how to use human labor more efficiently. He smiled and nodded while they talked about humans like farm animals. But Jake wasn't just a diplomat. He was a former Navy SEAL who had been chosen for this mission because he could lie convincingly. His ship, the USS Harmony, wasn't really an exploration vessel. It was a spy ship loaded with weapons and recording equipment. When Jake received Admiral Sullivan's message, he smiled for the first time in months. The message was simple. The children are ready to play. Show them your toys. Jake walked to his ship and activated systems that had been hidden from alien sensors. The Harmony's true nature was about to be revealed. In the Alien Council chamber, Scalord Thrix was reading reports about human mining efficiency. The humans are adapting well to their new role, he told the other council members. They work hard and cause no trouble. Good, said Commander Vexka. Soon we won't need to worry about them at all. None of them knew that their communications were being intercepted. None of them knew that every alien ship, weapon, and base had been mapped by human spies. None of them knew that humanity's real military was about to arrive. The aliens had laughed at human myths about warriors who never surrender. They had mocked human stories about fighting against impossible odds. They thought these were just stories that primitive humans told to make themselves feel brave. They were about to learn that human myths weren't exaggerations. They were warnings. The alien fleet was almost ready. Above Mining Base 7, hundreds of warships hung in space like dark clouds. Scalord Thrix stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the final preparations. How many humans are on the mining base? He asked his aide. Exactly 1,000, my lord, the aide replied. They suspect nothing. Thrix nodded. The humans below were going about their daily work, digging in the mines and hauling rocks. They had no idea that death was waiting above them, and the Earth fleet, still in their home system, my lord. Our scouts report they have maybe 50 ships total, all primitive. Thrix smiled with his sharp teeth. 50 ships against our 1,000. It will be over quickly. But down on the mining base, Colonel Ben Hayes was making his own preparations. He had just received a coded message from Earth. The cavalry is coming. Hold position and wait for the signal. Ben gathered his team leaders in the storage room. These weren't really miners. They were Earth's best soldiers, scientists, and engineers. They had been pretending to be simple workers for months. Listen up, Ben said quietly. The aliens are about to attack Earth. We have maybe 2 hours before they start shooting. What are our orders? Asked Captain Rick Stone, who had been pretending to be a mining equipment operator. We hold this base and wait for backup, Ben said. But first, we need to send the aliens a message. Dr. Amy Foster had been working on something special. She had built a computer virus using alien technology. The virus wouldn't damage their systems. It would do something much worse. I can upload it to their communication network, Amy said. Every alien ship, base, and station will get the message. What message? Asked Captain Stone. Amy smiled. The truth about humanity. That night, Amy released her virus into the alien network. Within hours, every alien communication device in the galaxy started playing the same thing: human war songs. The aliens had never heard music like this before. Songs about soldiers who died fighting for freedom. Songs about battles where humans chose death over surrender. Songs about warriors who kept fighting even when they were outnumbered and alone. But the virus did more than play music. It also transmitted human history files. Real battle footage from human wars. Stories of ordinary people who became heroes. When their homes were threatened at Council Station, Jake Morrison was watching the alien response to Amy's virus. The aliens were confused and angry. They had never seen anything like human warfare. Turn it off. Scalord Thrix commanded his technicians. We can't, my lord, they replied. The virus is adapting faster than we can counter it. Jake pretended to be confused. What's happening? Why are our songs playing on your systems? Your people did this, Thrix snarled. Your miners somehow hacked our network. That's impossible, Jake said with fake innocence. Humans are too primitive for that kind of technology. You said so yourself. But privately, Jake was activating his own systems. The USS Harmony's true nature was about to be revealed. Hidden. Weapon systems came online. Stealth shields dropped. Advanced sensors started mapping every alien ship and station. The Harmony wasn't just a spy ship. It was a mobile command center designed to coordinate the largest military operation in human history. Back on Earth, Admiral Kate Sullivan was in the war room deep beneath Space Command. Around her, dozens of screens showed the positions of alien fleets throughout the galaxy. All shipyards report ready, said General Mike Chen, her second in command. Stealth fleet is in position, reported Colonel Linda Shaw. Marines are loaded and ready for deployment, added General Tony Clark. Kate looked at the big screen showing the alien fleet above Mining Base 7. They think they're hunting sheep. They're about to meet wolves. Admiral, said a communications officer, we're getting reports from monitoring stations. The aliens are activating their weapon systems. Kate nodded. Send the activation signal. It's time to show them what human warfare really looks like. Across the solar system, hidden bases came to life. Asteroid mining stations revealed themselves to be massive weapons platforms. Innocent-looking cargo ships dropped their disguises and showed their true forms as battleships. The aliens had been watching Earth for months, thinking they knew everything about human military capability. They had been watching a carefully planned deception. Earth's real fleet had been built in secret, using technology that didn't exist when the aliens first made contact. While the aliens were laughing at human primitiveness, human scientists had been reverse engineering alien technology and improving it. At Council Station, alien sensors suddenly started detecting new signals from Earth's direction. Lots of signals. What are those readings? Thrix demanded. Unknown, my lord, his sensor operator replied. There are many ships approaching from the human home system. How many? The sensor operator looked confused. The readings don't make sense, my lord. It says there are thousands of ships. That's impossible, Thrix said. Scan again. But the second scan showed the same thing. Thousands of human ships were approaching at impossible speeds. Ships that were bigger and more advanced than anything the aliens had ever seen. There must be an error, Thrix said. Humans don't have that kind of technology. On Mining Base 7, Ben Hayes received the signal he had been waiting for. All units, this is Operation Valkyrie. The cavalry has arrived. Time to take off the masks. Around the mining base, 1,000 humans suddenly stopped being miners. They moved with military precision, taking control of alien equipment and communication systems. The aliens had been guarding sheep, but the sheep had just revealed themselves to be wolves. "What's happening?" demanded the alien base commander, as human workers surrounded him. "The humans are rebelling," shouted an alien guard. But it wasn't a rebellion. It was a military operation that had been planned for months. Every human on the base knew exactly what to do. Dr. Amy Foster took control of the base's communication systems. "All alien ships, this is Mining Base 7. We have a message for you." The message that went out was simple. "You laughed at our myths. Now you'll learn they were warnings." Above the base, the alien fleet was detecting massive energy signatures, approaching fast. Scalelord Thrix's command ship shook as something large passed nearby at incredible speed. "Report," Thrix demanded. "My lord, we're detecting a massive fleet. They're surrounding us." Through the command ship's windows, Thrix could see lights in the darkness. Lots of lights. Human ships were appearing everywhere, moving with impossible speed and precision. "How many?" Thrix asked. "Over 5,000 ships, my lord, and they're all armed." Thrix felt something he had never experienced before: fear. "That's impossible. Humans don't have 5,000 ships." But they did. While the aliens had been preparing for a simple extermination, humanity had been preparing for galactic war. The lead human ship was enormous, bigger than any alien vessel. It stopped directly in front of Thrix's command ship and opened communications. "This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force," came a human voice. "Scalelord Thrix, you are surrounded. Surrender now, and your crews will be spared." Thrix stared at the massive human ship. "This is impossible. You're a primitive species." "We were never primitive," Admiral Sullivan replied. "We were careful. There's a difference." Around the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Alien bases and fleets were finding themselves surrounded by human ships that had appeared from nowhere. The humans hadn't been building one fleet, they had been building dozens of fleets. At Council Station, Jake Morrison finally dropped his act. He stood up in the council chamber and addressed the assembled aliens. "For months, you've been laughing at human myths," he said. "You thought our stories about warriors and battles were just primitive fantasies." The aliens stared at him in shock. Some were trying to call for help, but their communications were being jammed. "You made one mistake," Jake continued. "You thought we were telling you stories to impress you. We weren't. We were trying to warn you." Outside the station, human ships were taking positions. The aliens could see them through the windows. Sleek, deadly vessels that moved like hunting predators. "Every story we told you was true," Jake said. "Every myth, every legend, every tale of human warriors who never surrender. All of it was real." Commander Vexka clicked his mandibles nervously. "This is not possible. You showed us your fleet. Primitive ships with simple weapons." Jake smiled. "We showed you what we wanted you to see. You were so busy laughing at us that you never questioned why we were being so honest about our weaknesses." The truth was becoming clear to the aliens. Humanity had been playing a game of deception from the very beginning. Every weakness they had shown was fake. Every limitation they had demonstrated was a lie. "You see, we've been studying you too," Jake said. "We know about the cleansing protocol. We know about the 3,000 species you've exterminated. We know what you really are." The aliens sat in stunned silence. Their perfect plan was falling apart. "But here's the thing about humans," Jake continued. We remember. We remember every species you've killed. We remember every world you've destroyed. And we're here to collect the bill." Through the station windows, more human ships were arriving. The aliens were beginning to understand that they weren't facing a primitive species defending itself. They were facing a species that had been preparing for this moment for months. The hunters had become the hunted, and the humans were just getting started. the alien fleet above Mining Base 7 was the largest military force the galaxy had ever seen. 1,000 warships hung in space, ready to begin the destruction of humanity. Scale Lord Thrix stood on his command bridge, confident that victory was assured. All ships report ready for the cleansing operation, his aide announced. Excellent, Thrix replied. Begin the attack on the human home world. But as the alien fleet turned toward Earth, something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to come alive with lights, thousands of them, appearing from nowhere. My lord, the sensor operator said, his voice shaking. We're detecting massive energy signatures, multiple fleets approaching from all directions. Thrix looked at his screens in disbelief. Where there had been empty space moments before, there were now human ships, lots of them, more than his sensors could count. How many? Thrix demanded. I don't know, my lord. Over 5,000, maybe more. They're still appearing. The human ships were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. They moved with perfect coordination, like a school of fish or a flock of birds. Their weapons were charged and ready. The lead human ship was enormous, bigger than Thrix's own command vessel. It stopped directly in front of the alien fleet and opened communications. This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force, came a calm human voice. Alien fleet, you are surrounded. Power down your weapons and surrender immediately. Thrix couldn't believe what he was hearing. Surrender? You're outnumbered. Count again, Admiral Sullivan replied. Thrix looked at his sensors. The numbers kept climbing. 6,000 human ships, 7,000, 8,000. They were coming. From everywhere, from behind asteroids, from within nebulae, from the dark spaces between stars. This is impossible, Thrix said. Humans don't have this kind of technology. We had 6 months to prepare while you were laughing at our myths, Admiral Sullivan said. We used that time well. The truth was becoming clear. While the aliens had been planning their attack, humanity had been building the largest fleet in galactic history. Every asteroid mining station had been a hidden shipyard. Every cargo run had been a military supply mission. War Master Zeknin, commanding the alien battle fleet, opened his own communications. Human Admiral, you may have numbers, but we have experience. We have conquered 1,000 worlds, and we've studied every one of those conquests, Admiral Sullivan replied. We know your tactics. We know your weaknesses. We know how you fight. Then you know we never lose, Zeknin snarled. You've never fought humans before, Admiral Sullivan said. You're about to learn the difference. The first shot came from the alien fleet. A massive energy beam lanced out toward the human formation. But the human ships moved like they were dancing, flowing around the attack without taking any damage. Return. Fire, Admiral Sullivan ordered. The human response was devastating. Thousands of weapons fired at once, targeting alien ships with impossible precision. The aliens had superior shields and armor, but the human weapons seemed to know exactly where to hit. How are they doing this? Thrix demanded as his ships started taking damage. They're targeting our weak points, his tactical officer reported. They know exactly where to hit us. The humans had been studying alien technology for months. Every weakness, every vulnerability, every design flaw had been cataloged and weaponized. The aliens' own strength was being used against them. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding the massive human dreadnought, USS Retribution, led a strike force against the alien command ships. His vessel moved through space like a shark through water, its weapons tearing through alien defenses. Target their command center, Jake ordered. Let's cut off the head of the snake. The Retribution's main gun fired once. The beam of energy punched through Scale Lord Thrix's command ship like it was made of paper. The alien commander barely had time to scream before his ship exploded. Command ship destroyed, reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the Retribution's bridge. The alien fleet is in disarray. But the aliens weren't finished. War Master Zeknine took command of the remaining fleet and ordered a desperate charge. All ships, ramming speed. Take as many humans with us as possible. The alien ships accelerated toward the human formation, their weapons firing wildly. It was a suicide attack born of desperation and rage. They're trying to ram us, reported Captain Stone from Mining Base 7, where he was coordinating ground defenses. Let them come, Admiral Sullivan said calmly. All ships, execute pattern Delta. The human fleet moved like a living thing. Ships that had been in front suddenly appeared behind the alien formation. Ships that had been on the left were now on the right. The aliens found themselves attacking empty space, while human weapons hit them from all sides. It's like they're reading our minds, one alien captain reported before his ship was destroyed. In a way, they were. Human artificial intelligence had been studying alien battle patterns for months. Every move the aliens made had been predicted and countered before they even made it. The battle lasted only 30 minutes. When it was over, the alien fleet was gone. Some ships had been destroyed. Others had been disabled and captured. A few had surrendered when they realized the fight was hopeless. War Master Zeknine's ship was one of the few still intact. He sat in his command chair, staring at the human fleet that surrounded him. How? He asked, when Admiral Sullivan's image appeared on his screen. You made it easy, Admiral Sullivan replied. You underestimated us. You thought we were primitive. You thought our stories were just myths. Your technology. It's impossible. We've been hiding our true capabilities for months, Admiral Sullivan said. While you were laughing at our primitive ships, we were building a real fleet. The truth was even more impressive than that. Humanity had reverse-engineered alien technology and improved it. Human scientists had taken alien designs and made them better, faster, more efficient. But how did you build so many ships so quickly? Zeknine asked. We didn't build them quickly, Admiral Sullivan said. We've been building them for years. We knew something like this was coming. That was the real secret. Earth had been preparing for galactic war long before first contact. Human leaders had always suspected that the galaxy might be hostile. They had been building defenses just in case. You planned this, Zeknine realized. We planned for every possibility, Admiral Sullivan confirmed, including the possibility that we would meet a species that exterminated other species for fun. Back at Council Station, the remaining alien leaders were watching the battle reports in shock. Their mighty fleet had been destroyed in less than an hour. This is impossible. Commander Vexka clicked nervously. Humans can't be this advanced. They're not advanced, Jake Morrison said from where he stood in the council chamber. They're prepared. There's a difference. But your ships, your weapons, are exactly what we need them to be, Jake said. You see, we've been studying you for months. We know how you fight. We know how you think. We know what scares you. The aliens looked around the chamber. They were starting to realize that they were trapped. Human ships surrounded the station, and there was no way to escape. What do you want? Asked the jellyfish-like alien that had been so condescending during first contact. Justice, Jake replied. For 3,000 species that can't speak for themselves anymore, we were maintaining galactic order, Vexka protested. Those species were dangerous. No, Jake said. They were different. And you killed them for it. The alien leaders sat in stunned silence. Their perfect plan had not only failed, it had backfired completely. They had awakened something they didn't understand. You wanted to see what human warfare really looked like, Jake continued. Well, now you know. This is what happens when you threaten our survival. Admiral Sullivan's voice came over the station's communication system. All alien fleets throughout the galaxy. This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. You have 10 minutes to surrender unconditionally. Any ship that does not comply will be destroyed. Through the station's windows, The aliens could see human ships taking positions around every alien base and fleet in the galaxy. The attack wasn't limited to one system. It was happening everywhere at once. "How many ships do you have?" Vexka asked in amazement. "Enough," Jake replied. "We've been building for this moment since the day we first looked at the stars." The aliens were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. They had assumed humanity was weak because humans seemed primitive. They had never considered that humans might be hiding their true strength. "Your myths," Scale Lord Thrix had said before his ship was destroyed. "They were real. They were warnings," Jake had replied. "We were trying to tell you what we were capable of. You chose to laugh instead of listen." Now the galaxy was about to learn what human myths really meant. The species that had told stories about warriors who never surrender was about to prove that those stories were true. The aliens had wanted to see human warfare. They were about to get more than they bargained for. The war lasted 3 days. By the end, the Galactic Council no longer existed. Every alien fleet had been destroyed or captured. Every alien base had surrendered. The species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was now at the mercy of the humans they had tried to exterminate. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the ruins of the council chamber on Council Station. The once mighty alien leaders sat in chains, waiting to learn their fate. Some were injured, all were terrified. "You have a choice," Admiral Sullivan told them. "You can face justice for your crimes, or you can help us rebuild the galaxy the right way." Commander Vexka, his insect wings torn and useless, clicked his mandibles nervously. "What kind of justice?" "The same kind you gave to 3,000 other species," Admiral Sullivan replied. "Complete extinction." The aliens went silent. They had never expected to face their own medicine. "But," Admiral Sullivan continued, "humans are not like you. We don't enjoy killing. We prefer to build rather than destroy." "What are you saying?" asked the jellyfish-like alien. "Work with us to fix the damage you've done, and you can live. Continue to resist, and you'll join the species you murdered." Scale Lord Thrix, now missing most of his scales from his ship's destruction, spoke up. "You would spare us. After what we tried to do." "We're not you," Admiral Sullivan said simply. "We don't kill because we can. We kill because we have to." The truth was that humanity had won more than just a military victory. They had won the moral victory too. Despite having the power to destroy every alien species in the galaxy, they chose mercy instead. Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral, took charge of the reconstruction effort. His first act was to locate the survivors of the species the Council had tried to exterminate. "How many are left?" he asked Dr. Amy Foster, who was now in charge of the galactic database. "We've found survivors from over 200 species," Amy reported. "Most are in hiding on remote worlds. They've been afraid to reveal themselves." "Send them a message," Jake ordered. "Tell them the hunters are gone. Tell them it's safe to come home." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Across the galaxy, species that had been hiding for generations began to emerge. Some had been reduced to a few hundred individuals. Others had managed to preserve small colonies in secret. One of the first to respond was a species called the Keepers. They looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin and large eyes. Their leader, Elder Zeronine, came to Earth to meet with human leaders. "We heard your message," she said to Jake. "We have been hiding for 300 years. We thought we were the only ones left." "You're not alone anymore," Jake replied. "None of you are." The Keepers had been librarians and historians for the galaxy. They had preserved the records of every species the Council had destroyed. Their archives contained the full history of galactic genocide. "We can help you find the others," Elder Zeronine offered. "We know where many survivors are hidden." Within months, the galaxy was transformed. Species that had been extinct were revealed to be alive. Worlds that had been empty were populated again. The Council's empire of fear was replaced by something new, a true galactic community. But the aliens who had served the Council faced a different fate. Many were tried for their crimes. Some were executed, others were imprisoned. A few, like Commander Vexka, chose to help the humans rebuild. "Why do you let us live?" Vexka asked Jake during one of their meetings. "Because killing you won't bring back the dead," Jake replied. "But helping us might prevent future deaths." Vexka had become one of the most helpful former Council members. He provided information about Council operations and helped locate hidden survivors. His knowledge of alien technology was invaluable. "I don't understand humans," he admitted. "We tried to exterminate you. You have every right to hate us." "We do hate what you did," Jake said. "But we don't hate what you could become." The former Council station became a memorial. The chamber where aliens had once laughed at human myths was now a museum. Visitors could see the records of the 3,000 extinct species. They could learn about the Council's crimes. They could understand why humanity had fought so hard. But the most important exhibit was a simple display case containing a book of human stories. The myths and legends that the aliens had mocked were now recognized as the foundation of galactic freedom. These stories weren't just entertainment. Read the plaque beneath the book. They were warnings. They told anyone who would listen what humans would do when faced with extinction. Scalord Thrix, now working as a janitor in the memorial. Read that plaque every day. He had requested the job as penance for his crimes. He wanted to remember what his arrogance had cost. "The humans tried to warn us," he would tell visitors. "They told us about their warrior culture. They told us about their refusal to surrender. We thought it was primitive boasting. We were wrong." The galaxy learned new stories after the war. Stories about human mercy as well as human strength. Stories about Admiral Sullivan, who could have destroyed every alien world, but chose peace instead. Stories about Jake Morrison, who turned enemies into allies. Stories about Amy Foster, who used her intelligence to save rather than destroy. But the most important story was about humanity itself. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had proven to be the most advanced in the galaxy. Not because of their technology, but because of their values. "We could have ruled through fear like the Council did," Admiral Sullivan explained to a gathering of galactic leaders. "We chose to lead through hope instead." The new galactic government was different from the Council. Every species had a voice, no matter how small. Decisions were made through discussion, not force. War was still possible, but it was the last resort, not the first. "How do we know humans won't become like the Council?" asked a representative from a species called the Builders. "Because we remember what it felt like to be powerless," Admiral Sullivan replied. "We remember what it felt like to be laughed at and dismissed. We won't do that to others." The mining base 7 became a training center for the new galactic peacekeeping force. Colonel Ben Hayes, now a general, trained soldiers from dozens of species. They learned human tactics and human values. The most important lesson, he would tell his students, is that strength without mercy is just bullying. Real strength protects those who cannot protect themselves. The peacekeeping force was tested within its first year. A species called the Ravagers, who had been hiding during the Council's rule, emerged and began attacking weaker worlds. They thought the galaxy was weak without the Council's iron fist. The response was swift and decisive. Human ships arrived within hours of the first attack, but instead of destroying the Ravagers completely, the humans offered them a choice: join the galaxy peacefully or face the consequences. "We don't want war," Admiral Morrison told the Ravager leader, "but we will fight if we have to." The Ravager, who had studied the reports of the Council's destruction, chose peace. They became productive members of the galactic community within a generation. Years passed. The galaxy flourished under human leadership. Trade increased. Science advanced. Art and culture bloomed. The dark age of the Council was becoming a distant memory. But in schools across the galaxy, children of every species learned about the war that had freed them. They learned about the humans who had risked everything to save strangers. They learned about the power of myths and stories. Why did the aliens laugh at human stories? A young keeper asked his teacher. Because they didn't understand the difference between bragging and warning, the teacher replied. When humans tell you about their warriors, they're not trying to impress you. They're trying to help you understand what they'll do if you threaten innocent people. The teacher was a former Council soldier who had chosen to help build the new galaxy. He had seen firsthand what happened when the Council ignored human warnings. The humans could have destroyed us all, he continued. They had the power, they had the right, but they chose to build instead of destroy. That's what makes them different. In the memorial on the old Council station, a new exhibit was added every year. It contained the stories of species that had been saved, worlds that had been rebuilt, and children who had been born free because humans had chosen to fight. The final exhibit was a simple recording. It showed the moment when the aliens had laughed at human myths in the Council chamber. Visitors could see the contempt in their eyes, hear the mockery in their voices. Then it showed what happened next. The war, the liberation, the rebuilding, the choice of mercy over revenge. This is what happens, the recording concluded, when you mistake human kindness for human weakness. Admiral Sullivan, now retired, but still active in galactic affairs, would often visit the memorial. She would stand in the old Council chamber and remember the fear in the aliens' eyes when they realized their mistake. Do you ever regret showing them mercy? Jake Morrison asked her during one visit. Never, she replied. Our myths taught us to be strong. Our values taught us to be wise. The galaxy is better because we chose to be both. The aliens had laughed at human myths. They had thought the stories were primitive fantasies. They had learned too late that human myths weren't exaggerations. They were the foundation of human civilization, and now, those myths had become the foundation of galactic civilization too. The warriors who never surrender had become the guardians who never abandon their duty. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had become the teachers of what it meant to be truly advanced. The galaxy was free. The children were safe. The myths had become reality, and in the end, that was the most human story of all.